He Gaura Karana Sakti Bhaji. Ahaṁ Vishnu Pariya Krishna Krisaya Bhutya Vedānta Swami Chana. Avise Saraswati Gaura nirvivikṣatām vāde pasada. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanasmadvana Chakyolunmilitam Jena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha Śrī Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandyam Śrī Gurun Śrī Yuta-parakamalam Śrī Gurun Vaishnavanscha Śrī Rūpam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Pitam Tam Sadīvam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varijanam Samutam Krishna Śrī Nārada Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sivasakam Vitamsa Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastuti Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrisabhara Sriti Devi Kunamami Hari Priya Bon Chakol Kakadu Jascha Upasandhya Vacha Patitanam Pavlivyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Srimad Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5. Narada's instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 23. Ahaṁ purātīta-bhave bhavaṁ mune dāsyās veda-vādinām nirūpito bālaka yogināṁ śuśrūṣaṇe prāvṛṣi nirvivikṣatām. Ahaṁ, I. Formerly. Purport in the previous millennium. Bhavaṁ became mune or muni, dāsyās or the maidservant, to but kasyāścana, certain veda-vādinām of the followers of Vedānta. Nirūpito in bālaka boy servant, ever only. Yogināṁ of the devotees. śuśrūṣaṇe in the service of prāvṛṣi during the 4 months of the rainy season. nirvivikṣatām, living together. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Receipt of Vedānta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Muni, in the last millennium, I was born as a son of a certain maidservant, engaged in the service of brāhmaṇas, who were following the principles of Vedānta. When they were living together, during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. This is Nārada Muni speaking to us like yesterday. because it's like yesterday wanted to know what he did after serving the Bhaktivedāntas, and they have left, having completed their Chaturmasya. So Narada Muni is speaking to the disciple, which is necessary, which is normal. It is normal. It is the way it should happen. The disciples should be interested to hear the activities of the spiritual master. It is necessary to hear, because that is how we build our relationship. That is why the disciple will understand the spiritual master. What did you do when the Bhaktivedāntas left? So just if he's speaking, the disciple is questioning, the Guru is speaking. This is normal. Questioning and answering. In chapter 4, we are speaking from yesterday in Bhagavad Gita, from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 34, so Purport mentioned. A disciple has the right to inquire from the bona fide spiritual master. The questions should not be absorbed. The questions should be just to understand. So the spiritual master will elucidate, he will explain, he will expand the explanation for the complete understanding of the disciple. Because if the instruction given by the spiritual master is not clearly understood, the disciple will have difficulty executing it. And it's the duty of the disciple to have a clear understanding of the assignment so that he can do it or she can do it perfectly for a perfect result. That is required. So we see the conversation, the relationship between the disciple and the guru in this case. So, Narada Muni said, "Oh Muni," yesterday, in the last millennium, I was born as the son of a certain maidservant. Engaged in the service of the brāhmaṇas who were following the principles of Vedānta. Narada Muni was living with his mother. His mother was serving the Bhaktivedāntas. In those days, it is difficult to travel. The traveling sannyasis stay in one place for the 4 months. It was rain. That time we don't have a cars. You can travel in the rain, or train, you can travel in the rain, or in the aircraft, you can travel in the rain. They are covered. That time, those facilities were not there. People were working. So it is called the pilgrims, because they have to walk, different places, visiting many holy places for purification. That was the custom. So during the rainy season, monsoon season, the sannyasis don't travel, they stay in one place. You remember also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed the same thing. He spent 4 months in Sri Lanka. And he was staying with the Venkata in Sri Lanka, South India. For the 4 months he stayed there, he was preaching and converting people into Krishna, chanting the Krishna mantra, and making them followers of Radha Shama Sundar, instead of Lakshmi and Narayan. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did the same thing. He stayed in South India 4 months, teaching Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name. So Narada Muni said, when they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. This is a power of association we can see. It was Narada Muni's mother who is serving who was working in the hotel the Bhaktivedantas, the Vedantis were staying. He was a small boy. He's a small boy that time. So he was assisting his mother. Just like that. Assisting his mother in serving the Bhaktivedantas. And that became the royal way for his liberation. So it is said that the association with sadhus is always very important, and one should seek for that association. The association with sadhus is so important, so powerful that even if they don't speak to you, don't worry, just sit there and hear what they are discussing among themselves. You gain a lot. They don't have to speak to you directly. Just hear what they are discussing among themselves. You gain everything. This is what happened. They were not speaking to Narada Muni. They were discussing the Krishna consciousness. And Narada was hearing their conversation. And Narada was so attached to them, he going to confess what attitude he had in association of Bhaktivedanta, which is very important for every devotee who want to be successful in Krishna. The attitude we should cultivate. In everything that we do, especially with devotees, the attitude has a lot to do. In fact, that carries our life in everything that we do. Attitude is most important. So Purport explains in the Purport. The wonder of an atmosphere so charged with devotional service to the Lord is briefly described herein by Śrī Nārada Muni. Every environment has its potency. Negatively or positively, every environment has a potency. If you walk into a hotel full of hungry people, it has a different energy. And you walk into an environment, people are so busy in sense gratification. It has a different feel. You walk into an environment where constant chanting with the holy name is going on, constant recitation of Krishna's activities are going on by Krishna devotees. That environment has potency. A temple environment has different potency. It is not a house. It is a temple. Why? Because Krishna added to them house. And where devotee stays, there will always be a discussion about Krishna. So the Muni is explaining the importance of a place where the holy name of Krishna or the activities of Krishna are being discussed. And that is where Prabhupada started the Purport to give us an insight into the nature of every environment, especially a place dedicated to Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna activities, which is frequently or occupied by his devotees. You go to the temple, what do you hear? The holy name of Krishna, the presence of Krishna. You hear the bell, aroma of the incense. Yes. I remember a few years ago, His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Maharaj, he came to visit. Our temple in Lagos is small. So we kept him with one of our Indian members. But in the morning, he would come for program and give class. So one day he just came in the morning, he just entered the temple and sat down. Say, yes, this is heavenly. Just see the difference between here and there. From there, it just hellish. As soon as you enter the temple, you feel the coolness, you feel the serenity, you feel the peace, the joy. You can feel it. I also remember one day, a sister just came to visit. As soon as she came and sat on a chair, in a few minutes, she sat down on the floor. And before I know, she just slept. I didn't wake her, I left her because nobody came to visit me that time. So I didn't wake her. After some time, when she woke up, she said, this place is so cool for the body. I was smiling when she said, because you see the difference. Where she's coming from is very hot, it's horrible, heat from anxiety, varieties of anxiety from different people. But as soon as you come to the temple, you feel different. This place, she said, this place is so cool for the body. So I was smiling. Yes. Why? Because the spiritual activity which are being performed. So Prabhupada went directly to establish this, the importance of the holy place. He was the son of the most insignificant parentage. He was not properly educated. Still, because his complete energy was engaged in the service of the Lord, he became an immortal sage. The Muni became an immortal sage. What is his qualification? Although he is materially not educated, although he was from an insignificant parentage, Prabhupada said, because the mother was a maidservant. That means she's in a prestigious position. What is the point here? The point here is that our material situation is not a disqualification for Krishna. It is not a disqualification. In fact, it's an asset. If one is fortunate, it's an asset. He was not properly educated. Still, because his complete energy was engaged in the service of the Lord, he became an immortal sage. So the Muni was engaged in the service of the Bhakti Vedantas. And he was listening to them. Not that he was listening to them. He was doing the service and was listening to what they were discussing. They were not talking to him. They were discussing their issue, which is about Krishna. But because he listened and rendered them some service, the Papa said his energy is completely engaged in the service of the Lord. And the Muni's energy was completely engaged in the service of the Lord. He became an immortal sage. Immortal. Such is the powerful action of devotional service. The living entities are the marginal energy of the Lord, and therefore they are meant for being properly utilized in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. When this is not done, one situation is called māyā. Therefore, the illusion of māyā is at once dissipated as soon as one's full energy is converted in the service of the Lord, instead of in the sense enjoyment. Instead of sense enjoyment. So the Muni was not engaged in anything else. He was simply engaged in activities of Krishna. In association of the devotees of Krishna who have nothing to do with sense gratification. They have nothing to do with sense gratification. They are simply busy with Krishna consciousness. Our energy should not be wasted for sense gratification. Human life is so important, so rare, so manusha janma sudurlabha, so rare that we should be very, very careful not to waste it for sense gratification. It should be properly used in Krishna consciousness. So the Muni was born, previous to this, he was a Gandharva. So beautiful, so handsome, so sweet. And a perfect singer. Yes. For a personal example of Śrī Nārada Muni in his previous birth, it is clear that the service of the Lord begins with the service of the Lord's bona fide servant. The service of the Lord begins with the service of the Lord's servant. That's the beginning. To serve the Lord. Through service of the Lord. In the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, Krishna himself declared, Mad Bhakta Puja Abhyadika. Mad Bhakta Puja Abhyadikas. The service of my servant, my devotees, is superior to my own service. The service of Krishna's devotees superior to the service of Krishna himself. Lord Krishna lives not in Vaikuntha. Lord Krishna lives in the body of his pure devotees. So the mercy of Krishna is with the pure devotees of Krishna. Therefore, it is said in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 12, verse 12. Rahuganai tat tapasana yati nache jaya niriva panat grihadavan na chandasa naiva lagni churyain Vina Mahatpada Rajubhishekam. My dear King Rahugana, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy from Acharya, strictly following the rules and regulations of household life, leaving home as the vanaprastha, accepting sannyas, or undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. These are preliminary things. They are dependent. These activities are good, but they are dependent. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. The absolute personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, is revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. Only to one who has the mercy of a pure devotee that Krishna is revealed to. And Krishna himself said, anyone who worships me alone, there is a doubt that he will get me. In fact, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, I run away from any person who worships Krishna alone. I run away as fast as possible from anyone who worships Krishna alone. But one who worships Krishna, one who worships Krishna's devotee alone, without Krishna, Krishna said there's a guarantee that he will get me. One who worships Krishna alone, there is 100% guarantee we won't get Krishna. But when we worship a devotee of Krishna alone, there is a 100% guarantee that we will get Krishna. Success is guaranteed. Yes. So Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita also gave a 20 items of religion. And in one, Krishna mentioned Acharya Upasana, the worship of the Acharyas. My knowledge is clear. Accuracy. The worship of the Acharya, and in Purport, Purport said, this is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 8. I'm taking only one word, because that is the one that concerns the topic. The worship of Acharya. The Purport said in the Purport, as for acceptance of the spiritual master, that is essential. Because without the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot progress in the spiritual science. One cannot. One should approach the spiritual master with all humility and offer him all services so that he will be pleased to bestow his blessings upon the disciple. Because a bona fide spiritual master is representative of Krishna. If he bestows any blessings upon his disciple, that will make the disciple immediately advance without the disciples following the regulative principles. Or the regulative principle would be easier for one who has served the spiritual master without reservation. Without reservation. One should serve the spiritual master without reservation. Reservation. Krishna himself requested a sarva dharma paritijya mam ekam saranam am tam sarva paribhya moksha ishami masuchaha. Service to Krishna should be done without reservation. Similarly, service to the spiritual master should be done without reservation. If the reservation is an offense, reservation is an offense. Krishna said, Mam ekam. Because Krishna is one without a second. Reservation means what? Who is there that we are reserving something for? Who is there? Nobody is compared to Krishna. Nobody is equal to Krishna. Nobody is compared to Krishna. Krishna is himself, complete, everything. Therefore, serving him must be complete service, complete worship, no reservation. If the reservation means it's offense, means that we have somebody we are comparing with Krishna. Who is that person? Who is that? Who is that something? Who is that person? There is nothing and there is no person compared to Krishna. Similarly, to Acharya Upasana, it means what? Complete service to the spiritual master without reservation. Yesterday we were mentioning to be able to serve a spiritual master, one must be selfless. If one is not selfless, cannot serve a spiritual master. But his full satisfaction. The same thing, reservation is not required. If one is not selfish, there will be reservation. If one is selfless, there will be no reservation. And that is the qualification you need to serve the spiritual master. Yes. From the personal example of Śrī Nārada Muni in his previous birth, it is clear that the service of the Lord begins with the service of the Lord's bona fide servant, the spiritual master. The Lord says that the service of his servant is greater than his personal service. Mad Bhakta Puja Abhyadikas. Why service? The pure devotees of Krishna have purchased Krishna. They carried Krishna in their heart. Krishna lives in their body. That is the abode of Krishna. Yes, one of our acharyas said, Lord Krishna is a property of Srimati Radharani's servant. Krishna is the property of Srimati Radharani's servant, maidservant. Krishna is a property. So, fortunate devotees, they will serve a pure representative of Krishna. So that is the beginning, serving the devotees of Krishna. The Lord says that the service of his servant is greater than his personal service. Service of the devotee is more valuable than the service of the Lord. One should therefore choose a bona fide servant of the Lord, constantly engage in his service. Accept such a servant as a spiritual master and engage himself in his spiritual master's service. Take a spiritual master, one who is bona fide, one who is carrying Krishna in his heart. That's a bona fide spiritual master. Yes. How will I know one who is carrying Krishna in his or her heart? How will I know? I'm a neophyte devotee, I don't know anything, so how will I know someone else? Krishna consciousness is not meant for blind followers. Means what? Means that it is for those who are soft-minded. If one is sincere in the heart, if one is not crooked, one is sincere in the heart. It doesn't matter if you are conditioned soul or pure devotee. It doesn't matter. If one is very sincere, Lord Krishna will direct us to his pure devotee who is carrying him in his heart. Krishna will do that for us. We don't have to speculate. You don't have to have a difficulty and anxiety looking for. Krishna will do that for us. Krishna will take us, come here. Come. Want to come to me? Want to come to me? One my devotee who can lead you, see him there. That is Krishna's business. But we have to have the qualification. What is the qualification? We must be sincere in our Krishna consciousness. Then Krishna will do the rest. So we don't have to worry ourselves. I'm looking for Krishna Master for 100 years. You will look for 1,000,000 years, not only 100 years. You will look for 1,000,000 years, you will not get. But as soon as one becomes sincere, Krishna will see the person. The person will not cheat you. The person is not going to flatter you. The person is going to tell you the truth. As it is required for your success in Christian consciousness. And he's ready. He's there, ready to help us. So Prabhupada said, we should do what? We should choose. Huh? One should therefore choose a bona fide servant of the Lord, constantly engage in his service, constantly engage in Christian service. One can be externally engaged in Christian service by using Krishna as a bait. We can build our own empire, but we use Krishna. I'm building a temple for Krishna. But we are building our house. In the name of Krishna, we're busy doing that. How do you know that that place is actually our own empire and not really Krishna temple? How happy will be the devotees in that place will show. The devotees who in that temple, how secure they feel. Do they feel secure in their Krishna conscious life? They're happy that, yes, this is where I belong. They feel like that if they don't have position. Those who have position may feel like that because they have position. So they feel some security. What about those who don't have position? Do they feel secure? Are they happy? They are satisfied and confident that this is where I belong. And I did not make mistake in choosing Krishna to be my children, or Krishna consciousness to be my part. That's the qualification. One can easily see. This is a place that I belong to. And then the devotee they are ready to sacrifice themselves, any sacrifice, any risk that they need to take, because they have the confidence that this is where I am, and they can see the result. Therefore, they're ready to give themselves. When devotees don't see that, you're not ready to sacrifice, then we will complain. We have so many devotees in this movement, but none of them come for service. They're not coming because they don't feel secure. Either themselves, they don't feel secure, or themselves, they are cheaters. Or they feel insecure because they don't have a good governance. Two things are there. Yes. Such a spiritual master is a transparent medium by which to visualize the Lord, who is beyond the conception of the material senses. By service of the bona fide spiritual master, the Lord consents to reveal himself in proportion to the service rendered. In proportion to the service rendered. Krishna will reciprocate according to how we surrender. Everyone surrender. That is how I will reciprocate. If one is very sincere and very introspective, if one is sincere, shows in Christian consciousness, we will protect ourselves from so many pitfalls. So many. Yes, one will not be envious of another devotee because I will naturally know this person is there because the person worked for it. That is the person's level of surrender to Krishna. Krishna is rewarding. Whatever may be our situation, that is our input to Krishna is rewarding us in that way. So sincere devotee will be satisfied and try to improve his own quality or her own quality of service because he knows that that is the way to get Krishna. When we please the spiritual master, a sincere service, we're discussing that sincere service. Sincere service means nothing is expected. Nothing is expected. Nothing is expected. Everything is done for the pleasure of the Śuśrūṣaṇe and Krishna. Let me make Krishna happy. Yes. Utilization of the human energy in the service of the Lord is a progressive part of salvation. The whole cosmic creation becomes at once identical with the Lord as soon as service in relation with the Lord is rendered under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. The spiritual master is representing Krishna. He's representing Krishna physically, so he can physically show us what we need to do. So there is a need to have a physical person guiding and directing. So we can see, there is an example, we can see, oh, okay, this person is here to lead us. We will see, look into the able leadership of the spiritual master. We follow. That is how we will make it in Christian consciousness. The expert spiritual master knows the art of utilizing everything to glorify the Lord. And therefore, under his guidance, the whole world can be turned into the spiritual abode by the divine grace of the Lord's servant. And Prabhupada is speaking about himself here. Prabhupada is speaking about himself here. So the Prabhupada turned the whole world into Vrindavan Dham. Everywhere you go in the world today, there is ISKCON temple. Even some places where there is no ISKCON temple, you see so many devotees there. So many devotees. In fact, I've seen that in Maya. A few years ago, we don't have temple in China. A few years ago, I observed, everybody observed that the Chinese devotees were many. And every morning you will hear. This morning breakfast is sponsored by social devotees Chinese. There's no temple there. For the whole day, the whole period of the festival in Maya. Then we went on Navade Parikrama for 2 weeks. Every day we hear. Today breakfast is sponsored by this. Chinese devotee. Islam Prasadam is sponsored. It's Chinese devotee. That is the potency of Srila Prabhupada. He has planted Krishna everywhere and he created Vrindavan, the whole world. Because he is a bona fide representative of Krishna, he has all the potential suitable to transform the world into Krishna consciousness. So everywhere you go today in the world, the whole world, everywhere you go today, Prabhupada has planted Krishna there, waiting for us to associate with. So that is the duty of a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master representing Krishna. He knows how to guide the disciples in Krishna consciousness. He knows how to train devotees to give up sense gratification and take up Krishna consciousness very seriously. He knows the act. He does not flatter because he cares for the devotees. He cares for the devotee. And he knows whom he's representing. He knows. I'm representing, I'm not alone. I'm not on my own. I'm representing people and I have to give account to the people I'm representing by the way I am relating with the disciples. Therefore, the spiritual master is very careful in his duty because he knows he's not alone. And he is not on his own. He is a representative of higher personalities whom he has to give account to. So he's very, very careful in his duty and he's very, very compassionate towards the disciples. So he takes pleasure because he loves them. He takes pleasure in guiding them. directed them. Out of love. So that we can do the right thing because we know the right thing. So we get the right result, becoming more and more Krishna conscious. And eventually, attain pure love for God. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. So, the first question is, which is the topic is, if we please the spiritual master, the representative of the Lord, then the mercy will flow. The question is, how we can know that the disciple has received the mercy of the pure representative? So, what are the signs and symptoms?
I just quoted the verse from our Gita. I quoted the verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13.
Text 8.
Number 8, the purport. Purport, Acharya Upashana. Acharya Upashana. Prabhupada said, the purport. As for acceptance of the spiritual master, that is essential. Because without the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master, one cannot progress in the spiritual science. One should approach the spiritual master with all humility and offer him all services so that he will be pleased to do what? To bestow his blessings upon the disciple. So the question was, how do you know we have gotten the blessing? The Purport said, because a bona fide spiritual master is a representative of Krishna. If he bestows any blessings upon his disciple, that will make the disciple immediately advanced, without the disciples following the regulative principles. The blessing made the disciple to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. Or the regulative principles will be easier for one who has served the spiritual master without reservation. And in chapter 4, the Purport said, the secret of advancement in Krishna consciousness is to please, to satisfy the spiritual master with our sincere service. Sincere service. Sincere service. A regulative principle becomes easy for us to follow, and we will make advancement in Krishna consciousness. No advancement means we have not pleased the spiritual master. Advancement in Krishna consciousness become easy. So that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, he said the same thing. A principle becomes very easy for the disciples to follow when they have pleased the spiritual master with sincere service. We will make advancement. Advancement is steady. Advancement will be steady for one who has pleased the spiritual master. Is it clear? You are muted. You are muted.
Sorry, Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. So another question. You mentioned that for a sincere disciple, he doesn't have to buzz about to whether the spiritual master is a pure devotee or not. He just has to sincerely follow the instructions and serve the spiritual master. Or if the person is sincere, then Krishna will guide him to a spiritual master who is bona fide. Then you also mentioned that one should choose a spiritual master.
5 o'clock.
When we come to the word choose, it means that we have to go and experiment, like see whether this one is bona fide or not, another one is bona fide or not, and then come to a conclusion. So how we consolidate, how we reconcile these two? For sincerity is directed, and then there is mention of how to choose a spiritual master. So how we reconcile this?
What I said was that we don't have to worry about we don't have to worry about who is a bona fide spiritual master. We don't have to worry about who is a bona fide spiritual master. For me, that we're going to lead me back to God. We shouldn't worry about that. What we should do is to become sincere. As far as we are sincere, Krishna will do the rest. Krishna will do that. He will direct us to the person who is sincere. That's Krishna's duty, to show us who will lead us back to him. If we're not sincere, if you're not serious in the Christian concept, we can speculate for lifetimes. Nothing will happen. So the qualification is to be very, very sincere. And we're serious that, yes, I'm going, this Christian concept I want to practice. I'm here to practice Christian concept. We are sincere. Then Christian will do it. He will direct us. That's what I said. When Prabhupada says to choose, we have so many Mayavadis, so many speculators, there's so many pretenders, there's so many cheaters. There are many. There are many. So we have to check very carefully. We don't have to make a spin like I said. Oh, this one. Oh, this one. Oh, that one. No, that is not our business. We'll be offensive. We'll become offensive to the devotees. Just become sincere. Krishna will direct us to a pure devotee who can lead us. We don't need advertisement. Krishna will say in the heart, he knows everyone. He knows everything completely. He knows. He will guide us. That is his duty. So let us give Krishna a chance to help us. Giving him a chance means that we should be sincere and serious to understand Krishna. Then Krishna will do his duty by directing us. So we don't make mistakes. Is it clear?
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. And you also mentioned one point that everything that we do, we should have a proper attitude, and then the result will be perfect. Now, yes. Coming to the service of the devotees, so we often hear about we should have the right attitude to serve it. So can we conclude that the right attitude means that we should serve the person without any, like you mentioned, reservation, without expecting anything from that service? Is it correct, Guru Maharaj?
Service without expectation. Yes, that is bona fide. If we are expecting something, it is contaminated. So it will not have the potency to attract the heart of a pure devotee. No expectation. It is just to please the person whom we are serving. So the Krishna and the pure devotees. It is just to please them. Once that is our mentality, that is our attitude, that is our consciousness, Krishna will do the remaining thing, which is cleaning our dirty hearts. But that service which we do. And he will reveal it. The bona fide master will reveal him for it. Yes, that is the process. All right. There's hands up. Marala?
Hi, Maharaj. Thank you very much for the class in Hare Krishna. And my question, you may have already answered it when you were talking about advancement, but you know, the question, but you've talked about sincerity in a couple of different connections. My question was, how do we become more sincere? Is that Krishna's pleasure or better chanting or something else?
Good, thank you for a nice question. Yes, good chanting is wonderful. Good hearing, most important thing is good hearing. If we hear attentively, if we hear very nicely, then we can correct all, we will adjust ourselves, we will adjust all the necessary things, all the confusions, all the garbages which we carry in our consciousness. By hearing, we understand, oh, this is not good. Okay, I'll keep this, I'll keep away from this. Or that one, okay, it's nonsense. So hearing is very important, that we'll be able to trash out all the necessary things. And then we focus on that which is necessary. By focusing on that which is necessary, yes, we position ourselves in such a way that we'll be able to get the mercy. We know how to associate very nicely. We know how to relate very nicely. We know how to do the service very nicely. We know how to chant very nicely. We know how to do everything very nicely. So we have to hear very nicely. And everything that we need to do will come. Krishna will supply them through the agency of the spiritual master. So hearing is important. As the Purport said, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is established to give people a chance to hear. And he concluded the lecture. Just come and sit down and hear. That's all. Everything else will follow. And that would happen. People will come and listen. In the beginning, nobody knows anything about Krishna. But just sit down and hear from a pure devotee. He destroyed the ignorance. Then one is able to understand, oh, this is wrong. Oh, this is wrong. Oh, no, I didn't do this. I'm so foolish. I was doing all this nonsense. Oh, okay. To help with this system, we keep away from them. Then he accept the right thing. Yes. Then we start seeing the light to see the road leading back home, back to Godhead. We see the light. The light is given by pure devotee. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanam Jana Salakaya Chakshulam Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. In ignorance, we're all born in ignorance, in ignorance. The system master has to point the torch. Okay, this is the road. When they point the torch, yes, then we can see. So, respectful obeisances to the spiritual master who is able to open my eye with touch of knowledge. Yes. So we offer obeisances to the spiritual master who is showing us the light, so we can see things properly. We do things properly. They will have the perfect results, and everybody will be happy. All right? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
All right. So what are questions from Madhu Sudan Vishnu Prabhu? Madhu Sudan Prabhu, yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the class. I have two questions. You mentioned that by worshipping devotee, one is sure to get Krishna. So for those who worship Lord Shiva alone and not Krishna, will they get Krishna?
All right, that's a good question. If one worships Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, if one worships Lord Shiva as a devotee, will get Krishna. If one worships Lord Shiva as the supreme personality of God, they will not get Krishna. So those who are worshiping Lord Shiva should know this. Lord Shiva did not declare himself to be the supreme personality of God. So if you worship him as a devotee of Krishna to get Krishna, you will get Krishna. Lord Shiva will reveal Krishna for us. But if you worship him as the supreme personality of Godhead, you will not get Krishna. Or at best, if we are ignorant, we are simply doing that because we don't know. At the time of death, those who do that, Lord Shiva himself will personally come and chant the Hare Krishna mantra in the ear of those his foolish disciples. And the next life they become devotees. Then they can go back to Godhead. All right.
And the second question is, service to pure devotees is required. Should we not serve those devotees who aren't pure yet?
Yes, we should serve them. How do we serve them? We can serve them by encouraging them to become devotees. We can preach to them. Yes, we can serve them prasadam. We can direct them properly in Krishna consciousness. That is service. That is service. But when we serve a pure devotee, that is different. It is not that we should serve pure devotees like this. I'm seeing this many times. All the time we're seeing this. When people are ready to cook for a sannyasi, they're ready to give a sannyasi some gift. They want to give him prasadam, but they don't do that with other devotees, which is wrong mentality. The person who is sitting here today as a sannyasi, yesterday he was sitting there on the floor with others. Means what? Means that those who are sitting there, tomorrow they also become sannyasi. So if you don't treat people properly, we are in ignorance, and we will not get much benefit. Therefore, we should treat every devotee kindly, and especially the devotee should be worshipped. This is what the Rupa Goswami told us in the Nectar of Instruction. And you find devotee, we should respect the person with distance. We can preach to them, we can support them in their Krishna consciousness. With medium bhakta, we should make friendship with them. We should be very close and be their friend. For Uttam Bhakta, we should worship them because their service is what? Mahatsevam Dwaram Mukti. All right?
And Maharaj, there is question from YouTube also. Aditya Singh Prabhu, he asked, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. How to come out of the ordinary conceptions towards anyone until one has been able to experience the presence of him in life, either by words or vapu?
How do we? Can you repeat the question?
How to come out of the ordinary conception towards anyone until one has been able to experience the presence of him in life, either by words or vapu.
Best thing is to learn how to treat everyone kindly. Everyone. You should treat everybody you come in contact with nicely. Because we don't know who is a pure devotee. But if you have the mentality of treating everyone nicely as Krishna part and parcel, we will do the right thing always. And in that way, we'll also be guided by Super Soul, the bona fide acharya who is present, physically helping us. We want to see that. The help of other devotees. So it is necessary for us to treat devotees very nicely. All right?
And the last question from Aditya Singh Prabhu. Guru Maharaj, is it necessary to open up our insincerity or things which blocks us to become humble?
Yes, it is necessary. Rupa Goswami recommend that. We should reveal our mind in confidence. But we should not do that to a neophyte devotee. We should do it to an advanced devotee. We have already given the formula. There are three things to be considered. To be able to accept the person and associate with the person and reveal our mind to. We have to look at the three qualities that the person has. If the person having these three qualities, then we can do that. If we don't look at, we don't check carefully, we are going to put ourselves in anxiety. Because if you go and tell somebody, and you offer a person who is lower than you or or in equal level with you, some of your confidence, and tomorrow he has disputed everything, you are going to be devastated. So when the scripture gives directions, we have to know it from acharyas what is actually the way to apply that. That is why it is necessary to have a bona fide samasa. So it will guide us how to do that nicely. So we should look at the devotee who has our interest in his mind. One who has our interest in his mind. We should check and see that. Does this person have my interest in his mind? Second, we should check and see, does this person has a nature like my own nature? Does it have, do we agree together? Do we have things in common? And the last point is, if the person is a pure devotee. If we see this three quality with the person, we should associate with that person and build our mind. The person will never destroy our trust. Rather, he will maintain our trust. Because whatever we discover will remain confidential, and he will give us instructions which will help us to transcend all difficulties. All right?
Harishan Guru Maharaj. I have one more question, Guru Maharaj, from our side. In the beginning of the purport, you will mention that Śrī Nārada was asking how Narada Muni he became perfect, how he overcomes the challenges. And then you mentioned that it is a test for disciples that they should also hear from the spiritual master of the activities, how he did, so that they can learn from him. So we know that devotees, they feel very shy to ask the spiritual master how we have been going through, how we have been able to manage the challenges that they are facing, and how he did that, how he managed those challenges in his life. So is it proper for the disciple to ask, like if somebody is having some problem, like he's being harassed by lust, then is it proper for the disciple to ask the spiritual master how you manage to control lust? Is it proper?
Yes, and I have many times, I have got this question many times from different devotees. Many times. Yes, many times. So for me, it's a normal experience. Yes, we should ask. If you have confidence, you can ask. All right.
Okay, thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. And on behalf of all the devotees, we thank you. And we hope to see you next Monday to continue with our series of lecture.
Okay.
Shri Bhakti Damodar Maharaj ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Leave the meeting.